What? Did we just become best friends? Yeah!
One is a T-shirt queen, and the other is an SEO and web developing ninja. And both of these squirrels are a little nuts. You're now listening to the More Gooder Ideas podcast, a show for the small business hustlers worldwide, encouraging you to be your most authentic self. This is the place where your whole story matters. Come for the tips and stay for the fun. Now, your hosts, Angie Patterson and Jay Smith.
I didn't do my homework.
Okay, super.
But basically because I just liked what you picked for me already.
I knew you would.
And that's why I was like, that's exactly what I wanted.
I didn't want to do that. I didn't want to do that. But so here's what it is, right? We have talked several times, mostly off camera, but sometimes on camera, about your next evolution as a business owner, because the way you do things, you're very capped because it's all your effort and energy. You've only got so many hours in the day. You can only grow so big. And, you know, you've got characters that you work with right now that, you know, long-term you can't do that. You've got to come up with somehow to do your own designs. And currently you outsource that. You find an artist, you have an idea, you find an artist online who kind of takes your idea, puts it in your style, generates you artwork, and you print it. So knowing what I know about AI and all that and how to build bots, I've decided, I'm like, hey, let's build a chat bot.
Yeah.
Now that I have found a way through using a platform that sells, it's called Prompt Base. And it's where people who are very good at creating Midjourney, DALL-E, and other AI images, they sell their prompts for very reasonable. It's like $5, $6. And so what you do is you go through this whole marketplace, and as you saw, there were thousands of different versions, and you find something that's in your style, which you have a very defined style. And then what we will do is we will hook that up to a chatbot. So you will fill out an online form and say, you know, I want to create a T-shirt of a dog watching out the window for its master in my style. And then you'll have a snarky saying, you know, whatever it is. And then it'll actually use that artistic style and create you images, and you'll be able to use them. And then of course you take them to Canva, tweak them, you know, but it's something that no one else will have. It'll be an utterly unique image every single time, but it'll be in that theming style, which we looked at, you know, horror movie posters from the 70s, stuff like that. So I think, it'd be a really good practice for me to build that. I want to build it so it's automated as possible, because, you know, you don't necessarily want to have to go into ChatGPT, learn that whole stuff, do that, learn how to download. What we want to create is a chat bot where you put in what you want. It gives you 4 images, and there they are. You download them, you take them over to Canva, you put in your words or whatever, and then you print. Yes. You just, you go from there.
The beauty of automation.
Right. And then, you know, once I've got that part down and we know that it works, then we will look at the other parts of the process that I don't know. Like, I don't know what kind of image format you download from Canva in order to print for yours. I don't know what DPIs you need. But once we've got not the hard part, but the technical super nerdy matrixy stuff done and we get closer to the real world stuff, that's when you and I will need to sit down and say, okay, well, this is how I need it spit out. And then we try it a few times, and it's like, all right, that was good, but, you know, it came out in landscape. That doesn't work. Or, you know, whatever. Or it's giving us images that are too much dark for, you know, for good printing, whatever. And then we need to tweak the prompt. But for my own purposes, you know, once I'm able to prove it with an actual user who will actually use it for their actual business, then I can then take that and possibly productize it and sell it to other people in your line of work.
Yes.
There are people on the very far end of the spectrum who are trying to automate the entire process, and they're creating, it's basically an entire workflow that just automatically creates designs, automatically throws them on T-shirt and mug mock-ups, and automatically shoots them onto TikTok stores, and it's completely hands-off. How much success they're having, I don't know. Your designs have a lot of personality to them. They are definitely in your voice. So, you know, it's not like you just want to crank out a bunch of shit to just have something to sell.
Yeah.
So I think this is, there's going to be some trial and error in this because, you know, it's as much as people think AI is just like it still requires a lot of human intervention to get exactly what you want.
Yeah.
Because someone's not going to buy it just because it was easy to make. But I was really excited. So once I figured out that workflow and saw that I could create that, and I found Prompt Base, which was the big thing, because far more into the tactile side of building things as opposed to the creative side. Like, if somebody says, this is exactly what I need, and I look at it, like, okay, here's the pieces I need to put together, and here's how I can do it, and I can do it. But if it's like, hey, can you just create me something, when it requires that blank screen creativity, that's just not how I'm built.
Yeah.
People would argue, oh, you're very creative and all that. No, I'm creative when I know what the deliverable is and what the need is. I know
You're creative in finding your resources and putting them together to get the end result.
Right, but I need to have a picture of what that end result is.
Yeah.
I am not a, Nikola Tesla, Thomas Edison type person just sitting around thinking, what if we did this? Like,
me either.
I can't just generate ideas like that. So I'm excited, and I think that'd be a good process for us to kind of walk through this season as we go, kind of a step by step by step, like, okay, we've got this part down. Now what's next?
Yes.
Now what's next? And then the ultimate proof will be when Flea Off starts up in the spring or whatever, you have a section, and we closely monitor how those designs do as opposed to your traditional designs.
Yes. And I think that it's really important for us to take our 1 million international listeners along with us, because
To Flea Off? That's kind of small.
we're taking you everywhere we go. To take them along with us on this journey, because one, automation can be really intimidating. It's, we're not just like putting a chat bot on the website to answer like shipping questions and stuff like that.
Yeah.
Which I think traditionally is kind of where a lot of small business owners are going as far as like streamlining and automating things, or they have like a message that automatically responds when you message them on Instagram. So seeing like what automation can really do for you in your small business. Sure. And I think it's also important because whether you are a B2C like I am or a B2B, you need to be able to stand apart. And this is kind of, at least for me, this is my quest. And how am I going to rise to the top of not just people who make T-shirts, but apparel companies, streetwear companies, other people in our general area, because I do a lot of vendor events.
You're already better than all them, though.
I like to think so, but customers are savvy.
Yes.
Somebody who likes to support small business owners and they like to buy T-shirts at different events, they're going to know if I bought that design off Etsy because they saw somebody else make it. And maybe it's not every single person. Maybe it is kind of unique. But the customers are savvy, or they're going to say, when I say, hey, I can customize this. Well, can you change the color of this element in this design? Well, no, I can't because I didn't make that design. I bought it, So I think it's really going to be a lesson in how to make your business stand apart from the other people, even if you're not necessarily doing the exact same thing that I'm doing or the exact same thing you're doing. And maybe it'll get your kind of wheels turning, like Miranda got our wheels turning of, how am I taking this next step and standing apart from the crowd besides just having a catchy name or an aesthetic social media.
Right. Awesome.
I'm really excited about it.
Yeah, I think it'll be good. And then I think that is kind of inside the box. So that's the inner workings of Sandy Pants, where kind of your next evolution comes. The other one, I think, in my mind, and that's why I keep kind of tagging you on these things I see on Instagram, is like outsourcing your printing in one way or another, because I can only imagine, like I've farted around with screen printing myself, and I know it's totally different now with sublimation and all that, but the amount of time you spend has got to be insane. Oh,
I think that would be, we can dive into it now a little bit, but this might end up being its own episode because it is something that I have struggled with since the conception of Sandy Pants Customs. Because what's it called? Drop shipping? Is that like the official term?
It's print on demand, but Yeah, drop shipping, yeah.
where you upload
You
whatever.
fulfill it all, and they fulfill it all. You provide the artwork. You say, I want these brand of T-shirts or this, these hats and these mugs, and they do it all.
Yeah.
So it's basically outsourced. So and that's how larger brands do it. Nobody.
Oh yeah.
I mean, some of the ones that are more artsy fartsy or have a big Instagram or TikTok presence and want to show you their super cool print shop, and they have all the the big old arm octopus screen printing.
But
stuff.
even then, there's not one person working that thing.
Right.
They might not be outsourcing it, but there's more than one person running that machine or
absolutely.
coming in and working different shifts, or that person is probably not the person who's packaging it.
Yes.
And getting it to the mail.
My point is, when it comes to what you do, it is so difficult in what you do to stand out and to differentiate from competitors in your field that I think the return on investment of your time for actually putting this stuff together is nowhere near as much as you knocking on doors and going in shops and reaching out to people and making connections to sell your stuff in their stores. If you spend 8 hours printing T-shirts, or if you go out and actually meet and engage with people for 8 hours, you're going to sell more shirts doing that than you are actually hand cranking out these shirts.
Oh, yeah.
Because nobody cares about that. They don't care where it came from before it got up on sticks at the fleur de lis.
My fear has been from the beginning really is quality control.
Sure.
Is what I'm promising to my customer what's actually going to show up, and like letting go of that control, which I have that.
We all do that. I do it.
Yeah. I mean, I had that in my managerial positions in my quote unquote regular jobs before I had my own business, was I'll just do it because I know it'll get done right. And if something goes sideways, am I at fault? Yes, but I can try and kind of figure out how to get it back up right.
Right.
So that's kind of where my hesitation has been with that. Now, I have started outsourcing some of the actual prints, which, nobody that's listening to this cares about printing T-shirts, but like the DTFs where I can do darker colors, different kind of materials and stuff like that. And I think that will definitely help. But I mean, for like an event.
When you say DTF, what does that mean?
You know what it means.
Well, I know what it means, but I don't think what I'm thinking it means is the same as what you say it means.
So, season 2 is the Sandy Pants era. So,
cool.
Sublimation is a dye process, right? So it takes a specific kind of dye and heat applied to it, and then it will dye polyester threads.
Okay.
So it can't be dark colored, right? Because the dye's not going to show up. And then it has to have a certain polyester count because that's what's actually holding the dye. So I could sublimate on a 100% cotton shirt, but the chemical reaction doesn't occur.
Okay.
So the dye doesn't stay in the material. DTF stands for direct to film.
Oh.
Which is
That's what I thought it was.
close to kind of screen printing, but it is a cured powder that goes onto a white base.
And that requires some sort of machinery.
Crazy machine that I don't even aspire to own really because the maintenance and the cost of it, I would have to be a DTF printer basically to make my money back on that machine. I would not be making T-shirts anymore. I would
have to be
using the machine.
DTF in order.
And I'm not that. So in any sense of the word.
Oh, we're 13 years old. It's cool.
So it can go on any material, any color, because the base of that print is white. But
Like an iron-on.
Yeah.
From the 70s.
But
it goes
is,
on top.
It's cured before you actually apply it, so it doesn't like crack like maybe a screen print would. I'm not for sure the exact like chemical makeup of the powder and how it's cured and stuff like that, but it gives me more options in my business, and I have to do less of that, like explaining to people why I can or can't do something. I can just be like, yeah, sure, I can do it.
Yeah, that's another part of the evolution that I would strongly encourage. If you were a client of mine and we were talking about processes and running your business, and again, not a coach. However, Customizing, I would punt that. I mean, that's got to be such a massively small percentage that is the ROI on that worth it. And like you mentioned,
it's all about time.
Yeah.
It's all about time. How much is your time worth? If you have nothing going on in your life and this is all you live for, is this business. You don't have a family. You don't need to sleep. Do whatever you want. But I have 2 kids under the age of 4.
Right.
That are in my care the entire time while I'm making this stuff. And then, like you said, then there's the whole process of actually making the product, packaging the product, not to mention the marketing, the online, the
a return
time
happens. Yes.
I'm signing up for events. I got to fill out those applications. I need to make sure I have the product. Am I ordering stuff? The best place that I can start is cutting the time that I'm spending.
Absolutely.
So now it's like, well, where do I cut that time?
I don't think what I'm talking about doing, which is just as much for me as you, because I want to learn how to use this stuff. I want to create this. What I'm talking about doing is more of a rebrand, as we talked, in your actual product. It's a change in your actual deliverable, what you're selling. It's not going to gain you time. I mean, actually it will.
Yeah.
It will, because, you know, if we refine this bot down to the point where it's really like, yeah, these are exactly what I want. You know, you're no longer scrolling through Etsy trying to find this.
You think that those kind of things, and again, I know this is very specific to what I do, but for our listeners, I think if you really think about this, you can find this little, pin in the butt of your business is things that you think aren't taking you that much time that actually are. And I actually talked to Caitlin about that the other day. She said, how do you find the images? Like if you have kind of an idea in your head, how do you find it? I couldn't even explain to her.
Right.
I was like, I just scroll and scroll and scroll, and I click on something that kind of might take me in the right direction to try and get the algorithm to just show me what I want to see because I don't know how to find it.
Right.
Anyways.
We'll see what.
Now I'm getting my twitch in my eyes coming back.
Well, I mean, and we can start kind of wrapping this up, because I think this is going to be a lot more valuable if we talk about it in chunks as we progress rather than trying to boil the ocean now.
I'm spiraling.
Well,
I'm spiraling, listeners.
Right. but you can
about
say how much of your own time this stuff takes. And that's when I'm talking to whether it's a nonprofit or a plumber, roofer, whatever, this is what I'm listening for when I'm trying to help them with automations. Like, what are these things that are taking so much of your time that is not best spent? So if I'm talking to a nonprofit like the Home of the Innocents, their mission is fundraising, staffing, and fulfillment. That's their main, that's what they exist for. But you also have to answer emails for 6 hours. You have to take stuff out of this spreadsheet and stick it in here. You have to onboard somebody and have them fill out this, and this, add them to all these softwares. That's the stuff we want to pull out. And, for your business, I think taking that process out is twofold. It will save you time and confusion, because, you don't know which way to go. And you may have a show where everybody buys all the Dolly Parton stuff. And you're like, okay, this is a hit. I'm going to go with this. And then the next show, no one buys it, because who knows, right? Because you were, 2 aisles down, somebody, that's all they did was come from Nashville, and that's all they brought.
Yeah.
And everybody's inundated with that stuff 2 aisles down. Whereas if we create something where every one of your designs is going to be utterly unique, but it's still going to be in your niche, milieu, whatever, I think there's definite benefit there. And for my purposes, if we can dial that in, get that into a knowable process, then I can serve somebody like Caitlin, who's a boudoir photographer, but also sells merch. And I can say, all right, all I need you to do is go on this and find images that are your style for your t-shirts. From there, I've got the rest of the process dialed in. So I'm excited about it.
Me too.
Yeah, I think it's going to be cool.
And I'm excited for our listeners also, because, again, even if you're not in the specific field that we're in, the journey that we're going on this year of, dialing in our businesses, there's going to be lessons for every small business owner and for every entrepreneur about creativity, automation, streamlining, using your sawdust. There's still going to be a lot of benefit to people who are business to business and business to consumer, whether you're making something, you're drop shipping something, or you're providing a service. I think everybody has those things in their business that are costing them time, money, or recognition. Sanity, hair, the ability to control your eyelids, like all those things. And the whole reason that we're entrepreneurs and we started our own business is because we wanted to have that control. We wanted to have that time. So we're going to figure out how to get it now that we've already committed to doing this.
Yes.
We can't go back now. We can't go and work at the mall now.
Right. It's on camera.
Yeah. Accountability.
Awesome. That's right. Cool. So you want to wrap this one up?
Yeah. If you are following us on Instagram or you watch our podcast on YouTube and you have something in your business that you want to be automated or you're trying to figure out how to make it your own, drop it in the comments. Let us know. We'll try and see if we can talk about it on an episode. And we will see you next week. I'm Angie.
And I'm Jay. Thank you.
Bye.
Bye.
Thanks for checking out this episode of the More Gooder Podcast. Make sure to follow us on Instagram and Twitter at More Gooder Ideas and search us up on Facebook, the More Gooder Ideas Podcast. And don't forget to like and subscribe on your favorite podcast platform so you never miss an episode.